WWE is all about flashy moves and epic showdowns. Think again. Behind the curtain, some truly disturbing moments have shocked fans and insiders alike. From shocking scandals to unsettling backstage incidents, this video will reveal the dark side of WWE that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Owen Hart's tragic fall at Over the Edge, 1999. Owen Hart's death remains one of the most heartbreaking and controversial moments in wrestling history. The incident occurred on May 23, 1999 at the Kemper Arena in Kansas City during the Over the Edge pay-per-view event. Hart, performing under his superhero parody persona, the Blue Blazer, was set to make a dramatic entrance by descending from the rafters on a cable. It was a stunt he had reluctantly agreed to perform before, but that night, a quick release harness was added to the setup, a change that would prove to be fatal. As the arena lights dimmed for a pre-match video package, the unthinkable happened. Hart's harness prematurely released, sending him on a 78-foot fall. He struck the top rope chest first before landing on his back in the ring, a scene that horrified the live audience and left television viewers in shock. When the camera cut back to WWE announcer Jim Ross, he tried to explain the situation to the home viewers. "This is not part of the entertainment here tonight," Ross stated gravely. "This is as real can be." His words were an effort to differentiate the accident from the scripted nature of professional wrestling, but the reality was far more tragic. Moments later, medical personnel rushed to the ring as the cameras avoided showing Hart directly. Ross's broadcast partner, Jerry "the King" Lawler, who had gone to check on Hart, returned looking visibly shaken. "It doesn't look good at all," he muttered. The crowd, initially confused, grew silent as the severity of the situation became clear. Hart was eventually carried out on a gurney, but the show continued, leaving many in the audience and watching at home uncertain about what they had just witnessed. Official reports later revealed that Owen Hart died almost immediately after impact. The fall severed his aorta, filling his lungs with blood. Within minutes, his life was over. About an hour after Hart's fall, Ross was given a mere 10 seconds notice before being instructed to announce Hart's death on live television. "I have the unfortunate responsibility to let everyone know that Owen Hart has died," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. "Owen Hart has tragically died from that accident here tonight." Ross would later describe it as the toughest moment of his career. What made the incident even more disturbing was that the show continued despite the tragedy. Blood remained visible on the mat as WWE proceeded with its scheduled matches, including a violent bout between The Rock and Triple H and a main event featuring The Undertaker. Many fans and critics were outraged, arguing that the decision to continue the event was disrespectful and inappropriate given the gravity of what had occurred. The aftermath of Hart's death sent shockwaves through the wrestling world. His family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against WWE, alleging negligence in the preparation and execution of the stunt. The lawsuit was eventually settled for $18 million, but the questions surrounding the decision-making process that night remained. WWE faced intense scrutiny from the media, fans, and even its own roster, many of whom were traumatized by the experience. The incident forced the company to reconsider its use of dangerous stunts and prioritize wrestler safety. But the emotional scars left by that night have never fully healed. Owen Hart's tragic death remains a disturbing chapter in WWE history, one that highlighted the very real dangers lurking behind the scenes of professional wrestling. It was a sobering reminder that, despite the scripted nature of the sport, the risks are often very real, and sometimes they come at the ultimate cost. Vicious's horrific leg break during a match. Sid Vicious's leg break is another example of a real-life injury that left a lasting impact on the wrestling world. The incident occurred on January 14, 2001, during WCW's Sin pay-per-view event, a night that would live in infamy for the shocking and gruesome injury that unfolded before a stunned audience. Sid Vicious, known for his massive physique and powerful in-ring presence, had been instructed by WCW officials to incorporate more high-risk moves into his repertoire. Reluctantly, Sid agreed to experiment with aerial maneuvers, despite his size and inexperience with such moves. During the match against Scott Steiner recliner, Sid climbed to the middle rope and attempted to deliver a big boot. However, when he landed, all of his 300-pound weight came down on his left leg, causing it to snap in a sickening fashion. The bone shattered instantly, and the sight of Sid's leg bending unnaturally was enough to send shockwaves through the audience and those watching at home.
No, get off, 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 get off it, get off it, get off it, get off it.
The injury was so severe that it was immediately obvious something had gone horribly wrong. Wrestlers and medical personnel rushed to Sid's aid as he lay writhing in pain, his leg visibly broken. The camera quickly cut away, but not before capturing the horrified reactions of the audience and commentators. The entire arena fell silent, the energy sucked out of the room as the reality of the situation set in. Sid was stretchered out, and it was later confirmed that he had suffered a compound fracture of both the tibia and fibula in his left leg. Sid's injury was a career-altering moment. It took him 6 years to return to the ring, but he was never the same. The psychological toll of the injury, combined with the physical limitations it imposed, marked the beginning of the end for his wrestling career. The incident raised serious questions about the pressures placed on wrestlers to perform dangerous stunts and the lack of consideration for their safety. Behind the scenes, WCW faced significant backlash for pushing Sid to perform a move that was clearly outside his comfort zone and skill set. Many wrestlers and insiders criticized the company for prioritizing spectacle over safety, highlighting the often brutal reality behind the entertainment facade. Sid's injury became a cautionary tale within the industry, emphasizing the need for better safety protocols and more reasonable expectations regarding what wrestlers are asked to do in the ring. The impact on the audience was equally profound. Fans who witnessed the injury were left traumatized, and the footage became infamous, often cited in discussions about the most disturbing moments in wrestling history. It served as a stark reminder of the real dangers that wrestlers face every time they step into the ring, and the fine line between entertainment and life-threatening risk. The Katie Vic Storyline. The Katie Vic storyline is widely regarded as one of WWE's most tasteless and offensive storylines. It revolved around a fabricated backstory involving Kane, a masked wrestler known for his dark and mysterious persona, and his alleged high school girlfriend, Katie Vic, who had died in a car accident. In the storyline, Kane was accused by Triple H of being responsible for Katie's death, and even more disturbingly, was accused of performing unspeakable acts on her corpse.
I thought you'd never ask, but I understand now. You can't resist me. Maybe you should take off some clothes too, Katie. Maybe I should.
The segment reached its peak when Triple H, dressed as Kane, reenacted the alleged incident with a mannequin in a coffin. The skit was intended to shock the audience, but it was widely condemned for being disrespectful and unnecessarily graphic. Many fans found the storyline deeply offensive, and WWE faced significant backlash from both its audience and the media. The storyline was quickly dropped, and WWE moved on without any real resolution, leaving a sour taste for many fans. Despite the negative reception, this storyline has been frequently cited as an example of WWE's willingness to cross the line for shock value. The public reaction was overwhelmingly negative, with many fans criticizing the promotion for using such a sensitive topic for entertainment purposes. Critics and fans alike questioned whether there were deeper implications to the storyline or if it was purely for shock value to gain attention. The criticism was particularly severe, as many felt that it trivialized death and desecration in a way that was unacceptable for any form of entertainment. Ultimately, WWE chose to ignore the criticism and continued with other edgy storylines. But the Katie Vic angle remains a low point in the company's history. Pillmans Got a Gun segment. Another highly controversial moment in WWE history came during the Pillmans Got a Gun segment in 1996. The storyline involved Brian Pillman, a charismatic wrestler known for his loose cannon persona, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was beginning his meteoric rise in WWE. The feud escalated when Pillman, recovering from an ankle injury, conducted a live interview from his home. Austin, seeking revenge, invaded Pillman's house on live television. The tension reached its peak when Pillman brandished a gun, pointed it at Austin, and threatened to shoot him.
Do you feel a hostage? You feel like you're a hostage in your own home tonight?
Steve is a dead man walking because when Austin 316 meets Pillman,
Oh my God.
9mm Glock,
Oh my God.
I'm gonna blast his sir straight to hell.
The segment was meant to be a gritty, intense piece of television, but it sparked outrage from viewers, media, and even WWE's broadcast partners. Many felt that the use of a firearm in a wrestling storyline was highly inappropriate, particularly in a live setting where younger viewers were watching. The USA Network, which aired WWE programming at the time, received numerous complaints and forced WWE to issue an apology. Vince McMahon, the chairman of WWE, had to go on air and clarify that the segment was purely entertainment and that no real violence had occurred. This storyline raised significant concerns about the boundaries of scripted entertainment. It highlighted WWE's willingness to use controversial themes to gain viewership, but it also demonstrated the potential backlash from crossing certain lines. Critics debated whether this was simply an attempt to draw ratings or if there was a deeper commentary on the nature of wrestling rivalries. Regardless, it was clear that the segment went too far for many viewers and was a prime example of WWE's penchant for pushing the envelope. For Pillmans Got a Gun, the reaction was somewhat different. While many fans were enthralled by the raw intensity of the segment, the use of a firearm in a live wrestling show was seen as a step too far. WWE's response to the backlash was swift. They apologized and downplayed the seriousness of the segment, but the controversy still left a lasting impression on fans and broadcasters alike. In both cases, WWE learned the hard way that there are limits to how far they can go without alienating their audience or drawing unwanted media attention. These storylines remain infamous not just for their content, but for what they reveal about the lengths to which WWE was willing to go in its quest for ratings and relevance. The Hell in a Cell match, Mick Foley versus The Undertaker. One of the most iconic and dangerous stunts in WWE history occurred during the Hell in a Cell match between Mick Foley as Mankind and The Undertaker at the 1998 King of the Ring event. This match is often cited as a defining moment of the Attitude Era, an era marked by heightened aggression, intense storylines, and brutal physical encounters. The match began with a shocking moment as both wrestlers climbed to the top of the cell. In an unforgettable sequence, The Undertaker threw Foley off the top of the 16-foot structure, sending him crashing through the announcer's table below. This stunt stunned the audience, and even the commentators feared for Foley's life, as Jim Ross famously shouted, "Foley returned to the ring," only to be choke-slammed through the roof of the cell. The fall dislocated his shoulder and caused multiple injuries, including losing a tooth that ended up lodged in his nose. Yet he continued the match, finishing it with a final pinfall after being slammed into a bed of thumbtacks. The match not only solidified Foley's reputation as one of the toughest men in professional wrestling, but also raised serious questions about the safety measures and risks taken by performers. Even Vince McMahon, WWE's chairman, reportedly told Foley after the match, "You have no idea how much I appreciate what you just did, but I never want to see that again." The match did, however, contribute to WWE's resurgence in the ratings war against its rival, WCW, and became a cultural moment in wrestling history. While the risks taken by performers like Mick Foley and Shawn Michaels have created unforgettable moments, they have also brought to light the physical toll that these stunts take on wrestlers. Foley himself later admitted that the physical consequences of the Hell in a Cell match led him to consider retiring from professional wrestling altogether, highlighting the long-term impact such stunts can have on wrestlers' health and well-being. The ladder match, Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon. Another memorable high-risk match was the ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon at WrestleMania X in 1994. This match is often credited with popularizing the ladder match format in WWE, setting a new standard for athleticism and danger. The match saw both competitors use a ladder as a weapon and as a prop to reach the title belts suspended above the ring. The match was filled with high-risk maneuvers, such as Michaels' famous splash off the top of the ladder onto Ramon lying on the mat below. This spot, among others, was groundbreaking for its time and pushed the boundaries of what fans expected from a wrestling match.
High risk. Michaels from the top. What's gonna happen? Michaels, no.
The ladder match showcased the incredible physical risks the wrestlers were willing to take to entertain the audience, but it also highlighted the ethical concerns around pushing athletes to such dangerous limits. The success of the match did elevate both Michaels and Ramon to new levels of stardom, but it also set a precedent for future ladder matches that would continue to increase in intensity and risk, often leading to serious injuries. WWE has faced criticism for encouraging or allowing such extreme risks, often without adequate safety measures. However, these moments have also helped shape the perception of WWE as more than just scripted entertainment. They have contributed to its image as a sport where real physical danger is ever present. These matches often blur the lines between sport and spectacle, with wrestlers putting their bodies on the line for the sake of storytelling and audience excitement. These dangerous stunts have undoubtedly created some of the most talked about moments in WWE history, but they also serve as a reminder of the thin line between thrilling entertainment and real-life peril. The Montreal Screw Job, a clash of titans. The Montreal Screw Job is one of the most controversial and talked about moments in WWE history. It took place on November 9, 1997, during the Survivor Series pay-per-view in Montreal, Canada. At the heart of this real-life feud was a bitter conflict between Bret Hart, a wrestling legend, and Vince McMahon, the WWE chairman. Bret Hart, a respected figure in WWE, had decided to leave for WCW due to creative differences and financial reasons. However, he was still the reigning WWE champion and was reluctant to drop the title to his real-life rival, Shawn Michaels, especially in his home country of Canada. Hart believed he had negotiated creative control over his character for his remaining days in WWE, allowing him to decide the outcome of his matches. Vince McMahon, worried about Hart taking the championship to a rival promotion, orchestrated a plan to ensure Michaels would win the title. During the match, Shawn Michaels put Hart in his signature move, the sharpshooter. Although Hart hadn't tapped out, the referee, Earl Hebner, called for the bell on McMahon's orders, effectively ending the match and crowning Michaels the new champion. Hart, realizing he had been betrayed, spit in McMahon's face and destroyed ringside equipment in frustration. This moment not only marked a turning point in WWE, but also showcased how real-life animosity between wrestlers could spill over. Was explosive. Hart left WWE for WCW, and McMahon emerged as the ultimate heel character, capitalizing on his newfound villain status to build the Mr. McMahon persona, which would define WWE's Attitude Era. Meanwhile, the incident caused ripples in the locker room, with many wrestlers feeling uneasy about the company's trustworthiness. Over time, both Hart and Michaels reconciled, and Hart even returned to WWE years later, but the Montreal Screw Job remains a pivotal moment in wrestling history that blurred the lines between reality and storyline. Chris Jericho versus Brock Lesnar, a heated confrontation. Another notorious real-life feud involved Chris Jericho and Brock Lesnar. The altercation happened backstage after the main event of SummerSlam 2016, where Lesnar faced Randy Orton. The match ended in a shocking fashion when Lesnar delivered several stiff elbows to Orton's head, causing a significant amount of blood and leaving Orton concussed. Jericho, who thought Lesnar had gone off script and legitimately injured Orton, confronted Lesnar backstage as soon as he came through the curtain. The situation quickly escalated. Jericho was furious, demanding to know what had happened in the ring. Lesnar, never one to back down, responded aggressively. The two exchanged heated words and nearly came to blows. It was only after Triple H and Vince McMahon intervened that the situation cooled down. McMahon assured Jericho that the match ending was pre-planned, and Orton was aware of the risks. Despite Despite this, the incident highlighted the tense environment behind the scenes and the unpredictable nature of dealing with a star as formidable and independent as Lesnar. This confrontation underscored the passion and intensity that professional wrestlers bring to their work, often blurring the line between entertainment and real-life emotion. Jericho later described the event as a moment where he felt the need to stand up for the locker room, emphasizing his commitment to his colleagues and the wrestling profession. The Jericho-Lesnar altercation showcased the fierce loyalty and passion within WWE's locker room. It also highlighted the risks involved when mixing scripted entertainment with genuine aggression. For WWE, such incidents often became fuel for future storylines, creating a compelling blend of reality and drama that kept audiences engaged. Overall, these backstage fights and real-life feuds have shaped WWE's history, providing unforgettable moments that blur the lines between the scripted spectacle of wrestling and the real-life tensions that drive it. Eddie Guerrero's sudden death and its aftermath. Eddie Guerrero, one of the most beloved and talented WWE superstars, tragically passed away on November 13, 2005. He was found unconscious in his hotel room in Minneapolis by his nephew, Chavo Guerrero. Despite efforts by emergency responders, Eddie was pronounced dead at the scene. The official cause was acute heart failure, exacerbated by an enlarged heart, and a history of substance abuse, although he had been clean for several years before his death. Guerrero's death sent shockwaves through the wrestling community. Known for his charisma, humor, and in-ring prowess, Eddie was a fan favorite, with a reputation for his innovative style and ability to tell a compelling story inside the ring. His passing affected not only fans, but also his colleagues, especially those closest to him, like Chris Benoit, Rey Mysterio, and Chris Jericho. The grief over losing such a close friend had far-reaching consequences. Benoit, in particular, was deeply affected, and some suggest that Eddie's death may have exacerbated Benoit's emotional and mental decline. Eddie's passing led WWE to reevaluate its health policies, pushing for stricter wellness checks and substance abuse programs. His death was a pivotal moment that forced the company to acknowledge the long-term health risks that wrestlers faced due to their physically demanding careers. The deaths of Guerrero and Benoit led to significant changes in WWE's approach to health and wellness. The company introduced the WWE Talent Wellness Program in 2006, which included regular cardiovascular testing, substance abuse treatment, and neuropsychological evaluations to detect and treat concussions and other brain injuries. Wrestlers with known heart conditions were banned from performing without medical clearance. The policy also prohibited the use of performance-enhancing drugs, ensuring that all talents undergo random drug testing. These changes represented a shift in how WWE viewed its responsibilities to its performers. By implementing stricter health measures, WWE aimed to protect its wrestlers from the kinds of tragedies that had so deeply impacted the industry. While not perfect, the wellness program continues to evolve, aiming to prevent future tragedies and promote a healthier environment for wrestlers. Chris Benoit's murder-suicide and its devastating impact. Less than 2 years after Eddie Guerrero's death, the wrestling world was struck by an even darker tragedy. In June 2007, Chris Benoit, another celebrated WWE star, was found dead in his home alongside his wife and son. The investigation concluded that Benoit had murdered his family before taking his own life, an act that stunned both fans and the general public. Benoit's crime and death were heavily scrutinized, bringing attention to the possible effects of concussions, head trauma, and substance abuse in professional wrestling. It also sparked debates about mental health and the toll of wrestling on its athletes. The WWE faced a significant backlash, with many questioning whether the company did enough to safeguard the mental and physical well-being of its performers.
My wife and my children will not be watching Raw because I am going to do something that is unthinkable. I'm gonna leave you with my anger. Sleep well.
In response to the Benoit tragedy, WWE took further steps to implement its wellness policy, introducing stricter drug testing, monitoring for concussions, and educating wrestlers about the dangers of substance abuse and head injuries. The Benoit case remains a painful chapter in WWE's history, leading to increased awareness about the mental health of athletes and the need for comprehensive care, both during and after their careers. Steroid scandals and substance mistreatment in WWE. WWE has faced significant scrutiny over the years due to steroid scandals and substance abuse issues. One of the most notable incidents was the 1994 steroid trial involving Vince McMahon, which nearly brought down the entire organization. McMahon, then chairman of WWE, formerly WWF, was accused of distributing anabolic steroids to wrestlers to maintain their larger-than-life physiques. The case centered around Dr. George Zahorian, a physician who had been supplying steroids and other substances to WWF wrestlers for years. Zahorian was convicted of drug trafficking, and his testimony, along with that of several wrestlers, put McMahon at risk of a lengthy prison sentence. However, due to various legal technicalities and lack of concrete evidence, McMahon was acquitted of all charges, saving WWE from potentially collapsing under the weight of the scandal. Journalist Weldon T. Johnson wrote that Zahorian sold steroids and other drugs to 43 pro wrestlers, 37 of whom were employed by McMahon's WWF when deliveries were made. Beyond the steroid trial, WWE has also been plagued by substance abuse issues among its wrestlers. The culture of painkillers and other drugs, often used to cope with the physical toll of wrestling, led to numerous cases of addiction and tragic outcomes. Wrestlers like Eddie Guerrero and Curt Hennig, among others, struggled with substance abuse, and their untimely deaths underscored the severe consequences of the industry's grueling demands. In response to these scandals, WWE implemented a strict wellness policy in 2006, focusing on regular drug testing, education, and rehabilitation for its performers. This policy was designed to improve the overall health and safety of the wrestlers, aiming to prevent further tragedies and protect the company's reputation. While the policy has helped mitigate some issues, WWE continues to face challenges in ensuring a safe and healthy environment for its talent. That's a wrap on the video. If you enjoyed it, check out one of these boxes too. I'll catch you on the next one.